been playing the drums now for about 13 years, since I was about 10. And one day I watched a documentary on the Beatles, and that day I asked my mum if I could learn to play the drums. And that's when I met Stu. Stu taught me drums for about 7 or 8 years. I did all my grade exams with him as my teacher, and then when I finally stopped having lessons, I then went on to play in multiple bands, gigging across the Northwest in Manchester and Liverpool. So at the same time as this, I also started university, and although I didn't study music, I studied media and TV. Music was always the focal point of all my major projects at university. And in the meantime, Stu started his brand new project, Beyond the Beat. During this time, in the early days of Beyond the Beat, Stu and I actually worked together on quite a few projects, as I needed someone to film for my university course, and Stu needed content for his fairly new Instagram, which I think at the time was about 3,000 followers. So fast forward 5 years and I've graduated university. I'm now sat in my very own recording studio alongside my business partner Joe, and Stu has been growing his social media platform exponentially, and at the time of me recording this video, he is currently on 74,500 followers, which is insane. Beyond the Beat is Stu's, I guess what you could call, online drum school. He posts videos, tips and tricks, tutorials, lessons, and his overall message is just to spread positivity and good vibes to what is actually now quite a big community of people wanting to learn to play the drums. Some of his posts are informative and some of his posts are just purely for fun, but thanks to his social media presence now, Stu has actually worked with some major brands in the industry, such as Roland and Gears for Music. I feel like everything's come full circle really. If I hadn't decided all those years ago that I wanted to play the drums, I never would have took up lessons and in turn never would have met Stu, which I guess probably would have led me to not be involved as much in the music scene, and I doubt I would be sat here opening up my own recording studio. So to celebrate opening the studio, I thought what a better way than to have Stu in and we can talk all things Beyond the Beat, find out more about his journey as a social media influencer and find out what his plans are for the future.
Here we go.
Here we are.
It always feels really awkward the first 20 seconds or so, doesn't it?
It does a little bit. I'm not used to doing something like this.
A little less awkward with beer, though.
Yeah, get my...
Sponsored
I was gonna say,
by Brewdog.
Get my product placement in.
Budweiser. Yeah, to your right. So what about me free beers then, Brewdog? All right. Yeah.
So yeah, we're in the new space. I'm not used to... This is the first podcast or anything like this me and Joe have ever done. So obviously Joe's in the control room. Joe is doing sound, and then... This is the studio.
This is the studio?
This is the studio, yeah.
Here we are.
I know.
And it's fantastic. The first impressions that I have of this is just well done, boys. Well done, boys.
We're extremely proud of the final outcome. I don't think we can go without saying, like, we've had a lot of help. We've had a lot of help along the way. It's been a bit of a stressful week, but we couldn't be happy with the...
I agree. I think that nothing worthwhile is easy anyway, and if you need help, all it means, I think, when you need help is that the project that you've undertaken is that worthwhile that it's impossible to do alone. Yeah. It's probably more worthwhile. It's better that you needed the help because, you never know. You may have got snowed under if you were just doing it all on your own. But also, different people's... A third-party input can make you perceive something in a different way, can't it? And think about something in a different way. So with that help comes other suggestions and whatnot.
Yeah, it's been like a collective team effort as well. And I think the fact that, 6 weeks ago, maybe like 2 months ago-ish, this was a... This now was a 12-month goal.
Yeah.
This was me and Joe on the way to a photography shoot saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if we had our own studio? Maybe 2021 we can look to save." And then the next day after that conversation in the car, Joe had found this place, and we both came and looked at each other and thought, "Do you know what? Just gonna have to just do it. Just take the leap and just do it."
Best thing you can do.
6 weeks later, here we are, and there we are.
There you go. That's the best thing you can do. I found the philosophy that has got me through the 35 years of the life that I have lived so far is basically don't try to think about things. Just jump into them and just kind of see what happens.
I don't think I've ever done something like that before. I think I've always been quite a thought out person.
Very methodical.
So we had a bit of a conversation that was like, do you know what? What's the worst that can happen?
You're absolutely
right.
right.
We've done it probably during the worst time. We've
That's
had
great.
quite a few odds against us, but
brilliant.
we're here and we're proud of it. So
I think it's
to get going now.
I think it's fantastic though that you have actually chosen to done it at that time, because it's one of those. It's almost a cliche, but it's kind of like when you have done it, you think, oh, we can deal with anything now.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing to do is literally just jump headfirst into it and just kind of see what happens.
That's definitely the outlook we've got now. That if we can get to this stage, like there's a lot of optimism now. And like you said, we can do it at the worst possible time. So, just got to go for it.
I think that when you jump into something and you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know how it's going to happen, you have to find a solution. And if you end up jumping into something without a solution, or without at least an idea of how you want something to go, then maybe it would all fall to pieces. But so long as there's a vague idea of where you need to go, jumping in is the best thing to do, because it's typical, it's sink or swim, isn't it?
Yeah.
And these sayings exist for a reason, don't they? And when you do, what you're going to do, you don't want to die, you don't want to drown, so you're going to swim to the shore, you're going to find a boat. I think you've done incredibly well. My first impressions as well walking into this is that it looks like it's been established for much longer than it actually has.
We moved in 10 days ago, and we've been open 4 days.
Wow. And straight away.
Five days. Yeah. Something like that. Ish them days.
What was the thing that made you, what am I trying to say? You moved in.
Yeah.
You had to... How did you make this progress so quickly? You said not long ago that it was almost a 12-month plan.
Yeah.
But then when you ended up you ended up realising very quickly by the sounds of it that this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So then you were obviously, between you were collectively very self-assured. But why? What was the main catalyst to getting it open?
Just the fact that this space existed, it was perfect. It was one of them. It was like me and Joe were moving into a house. Like we'd found our dream house. Do you know what I mean? And it was one of them where, if we said no, and in 6 months' time we were ready to look for this dream house, and it didn't exist, we'd have just kicked ourselves.
Yeah.
So we just did it.
Fantastic.
Did it?
Well, I commend you both.
Thank you.
Because it looks fantastic. It really does. I just love the colours. I love the colours. It just looks premium. You walk straight in and it just looks really, really, really premium.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, it looks fantastic. Plus, it's multi-purpose as well. It's multifunctional.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing thing about such a small place like this. You can have it as a rehearsal space, a music studio, a video production studio.
Yeah, exactly.
The possibilities, whilst they're not endless, they are endless in the
so many ideas that we can come up with.
Yeah. You've got freedom, haven't you?
Exactly. Well, enough about me and Joe on this space, because brought you in to chat. So
and drink beer.
Yeah. Cheers for coming
Absolutely.
in. Cheers.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.
It's been lovely. I feel like it's come full circle, because what maybe many of you don't know is that the reason I actually know Ollie is because I used to teach him how to play the drums very, very early on in your life.
This is where this idea came from, which we'll have covered at the start of this video. Is one of the reasons why I asked you to come in, because I covered it this music journey that I've been on, even through university when I didn't even study music. Music has always been at the forefront, which obviously stemmed from me learning drums, which is why from filming, I've always filmed music videos, music events, like photography for music events and stuff. So it's all like you said, like full circle. So for those that don't know you, how would you describe Beyond the Beat? 'Cause Beyond the Beat is your brainchild. It's
my baby. It's my thing.
Baby.
It's the thing to do. Yeah, it's a thing. I suppose it's quite nice to have a thing as well, because I suppose that you could say that I've never had a thing really that I feel like I could have that I've always been able to call my own. I've always been in bands since I was I'm 35 now, and when I was 15, that was when I was kind of first getting into bands. So 20 years ago I was getting into bands, and even then you're working with other people, and I never really had anything that was my own, and I never wanted anything that was my own in an egotistical sense. Like I was always quite happy with everything I was doing, but Beyond the Beat actually came about because of it was my job, really, teaching music. And I'd been teaching music at a local music school for about 10 years. And basically, I went through, full disclosure, I went through a divorce. So it knocked me for 6, and it made me think that I didn't want to play the drums anymore. And that was basically something that I'd always done. As long as I can remember, I had loved music. I wanted to play the drums. So I was in bands. I became a drum teacher. And for the next 10 years, I did that at a local music school and at local primary schools around the area. But I went through this massively traumatic experience, and it made me reevaluate everything in my life. I wanted to quit the drums because I felt like I wanted something different, and thankfully I realised, with the help of a couple of other people, that was probably quite a hasty decision.
Yeah.
And it was a hasty decision that I'm sure that if I would have made that decision, I would have come off the back of it doing something else that was worthwhile doing. But seeing the way that what I'm doing now has evolved since I decided to, I'm so glad that I didn't. Yeah. I'm just so glad that I didn't quit. Basically, Beyond the Beat came about because I wanted something that was my own. I worked at a music school, which is basically the hugely long-winded way I've just gone around saying that one. I could have probably just got away with the last 3.5 minutes. I could have probably just got away with saying in one sentence, I used to work at a music school, and then I decided that it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me. I was helping people, but I wasn't helping people as much as I knew that I could, because the circumstances under which I was working didn't permit me to help people to my full potential.
On your terms.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
So then I basically soundproofed my garage. I have a new girlfriend, and we're very, very happy together. We're actually getting married next year now. And when we bought our house, one of the deciding factors was that it had to have a garage that I could soundproof, that I could then start working
for
from.
You to convert into your own studio. Yeah,
absolutely. So I converted it into studio with the help of my dad. I'm rubbish at DIY. Could not have done it without my dad. Really, really couldn't have. But we did it. We got it done. And now I don't work at that music school anymore. I work completely on my own. Now, before I did that, I started the Instagram page Beyond the Beat, and the reason I called it Beyond the Beat was because that was what I envisioned the name of my music school to be.
Right. Okay.
Once again, since it's evolved, I suppose like the name is just kind of there now. So I call the music school Beyond the Beat, but this music school, it's just me. I just teach in my back garden.
When you think about it, maybe not in the traditional way, but in my eyes, you do have your own music school.
I suppose 100%,
so. 100%. In my eyes.
I suppose so. Well, yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I can't really argue with that. I can't argue with that. I do.
Because obviously, I remember this project coming about, because obviously, you taught me drums for the best part of, 8 years. I left for university. I finished all my exams with you, and then I left to do film and TV. And we only started to come back into contact again because I noticed your page was growing, and I was looking for someone to film. Basically, you needed content, and I needed
experience.
I needed experience.
Yeah.
So it kind of linked. And I remember that day we came into where you used to film your videos, and you had 3,000 followers. I remember it was roughly 3,000 followers,
right?
And that blew my mind, because
It blew my mind as well.
That's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I can't believe it. I still can't.
We filmed your video. You put it out, and we've now gone. What we're talking 4 or 5 years since then.
No. It was around.
Well, I was in second year of uni, so.
It's been around 4 years now.
About
What are we in?
years.
No, we're almost in December 2020. So it was 2016. It was just over 4 years.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. About July.
So we're talking
2016.
You were, like I say, 3,500 followers, and you were doing well. I think you were still deciding which side to put your energy into, maybe which platform you were going to fully go for. Type thing. Because like YouTube,
I was going to do
there.
YouTube, wasn't I? I got you in at first.
Instagram was there.
Yeah.
And now we're talking like 3-4 years in advance, and I checked just before we started this, and you're now sitting at 74,500 followers.
It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing.
That's enough to fill Old Trafford.
It's absolutely mind blowing.
Do you know what I mean?
It really
that
is
crazy.
Honestly, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing, and I'm so grateful.
And some of your videos are hitting an insane amount of views.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, the funny thing is, I didn't start it. I didn't start the Instagram page because I wanted to massage my own ego. I didn't do it for the clout. I did it genuinely because, as I think I digressed before, I do have, even without beer, I do have a massive habit of just going off on some crazy tangent when I talk. So I apologise in advance for that. But going back to what you said before, I genuinely have just forgotten what I was talking about as well. I genuinely have. I'm not even joking. So, beer, that makes me forget more, but I'm forgetful enough without the beer. What were you saying?
We said about you didn't do it for the viewership.
I didn't do it for the clout. I didn't do it for the clout. The reason I did it was because, like you were saying before, you asked me a question about how did Beyond the Beat came about. I started to do my own music. Ooh, sorry, microphone. I started to do my own music school, and the reason that I started, I was burnt out. I've just remembered. It's all just come back. I was burnt out. I was working at the music school.
Yeah.
My missus had left me. We were married. It was a whole divorce. It was kind of like on is it like the Lego movie? Like where, like, like when they just
crumbles.
When they're flaming in the back of the car or whatever. I think it is. But anyway, that was basically how I felt. And so I thought, I'm so burnt out from working these like 12-hour teaching days at this music school. I thought there's got to be another solution. So then I started this Instagram page because I wanted to eventually grow it so that I could start getting students via different methods than face-to-face teaching, i.e. Skype and Zoom and whatnot. And then I wanted to develop that so that my days weren't quite as long, but I could still reach people and get the work, because obviously in this kind of field, when you've got, like, I have to hold my hands up right now, by the way, and say, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. I'm not a qualified teacher, yet I have made a career and a living out of being a music teacher for the last 13 years. Yeah. And that in itself, I think, shows that the grit and determination and the passion will get you where you want to be when you try. Yeah. And the reason that I started the Instagram page was because I wanted to be able to expand that reach working in this field. And obviously then when the page started to grow and get a bit of traction, I realised actually that it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. Right. So for every 5,000 followers that I had, maybe there was like a small handful of people that wanted these Skype lessons or whatnot. Yeah. And so then, because obviously the page was already sort of established, then the direction of it changed. Right, and along with the page evolving, the thing that I'm so grateful for is that because I've invested so much into it emotionally, it's changed me as a person. It's actually made me develop as a person, and I think in a completely different way now than I did 4 years ago, in the best possible way.
That Beyond the Beat has become like a part of you.
It's what I do. Yeah, it's my life. It's what I do.
It's almost like you obviously you are Beyond the Beat. Do you know what I mean? Which is obviously a much bigger collective like community now, isn't it?
It's great, but I mean, I started to realize that like people were like enjoying what I was doing, and they were finding value in what I was doing. So
Yeah, but they're also
Basically,
finding value in yourself. Like I said, like
Yeah.
they're subscribing to Beyond the Beat as a whole. But that's you are Beyond the Beat. Do you know what I mean? So they're subscribing to yourself.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's right. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely true, and this is why, like, people that are thinking about social media channels that put so much effort into like creating really nice, shiny, polished content. This is like why if you just realize that the most valuable thing that you can offer is yourself, then you'd be golden, because people wouldn't you wouldn't waste any energy and time procrastinating and worrying about the decisions that you make. You just have a happy life and just chill out. And right now, at the age of 35, after all that I've just described, that I've been through, to the point from the divorce to the point where I am now, basically every single decision in my life I try to make now to reduce stress. Like, every decision I make is a decision that the first question I ask myself is this going to make my life easier without cutting any corners in terms of the quality of my everyday living and my everyday delivery, whether it's to my fiance, whether it's to my friends, whether it's to my students and to other colleagues I have. I just don't want stress in my life. I just want to be happy.
But I can, like, definitely confirm, if you like, that, you know, knowing you from, at least I was 10 years old.
10 years old. How old are you now?
23.
23. That's a long time. Yeah. You were already, I think you were already at the music school when I don't
know. I'm not sure.
Was I already teaching there when you came to me, right?
Yeah.
So it's been 12 years then. Yeah, it's been 12 years.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is, like...
Oh, yeah.
I've known you all that time, and I watched you start Beyond the Beat, and I've watched the majority of the, like, content you put out pretty much daily, and you've not changed. The reason why you've gained so many followers is because people, like I said, it's you that people... You've not changed to suit a social media person.
Yeah. Do you know what?
You've just been yourself, and it's worked.
Do you know what?
Do you know what I mean?
I've got more confident over those last 4 years, and if anything, I've become more myself in the public eye over 4 years. I've let myself go.
You've lent into what people invested into you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the parts that maybe people, you know, don't understand. You've explained, and you've lent into how you are, and I've seen your confidence develop to the point where you're just like,
I don't care
this is
now.
what it is.
I don't care.
It leads quite well into what I was going to ask you now. Is like, what would you say? Because you're doing it for 4 years.
Yeah.
What would you say have been the difficulties and the bits you've really enjoyed? What's been the hardest part about having so much kind of? Because 75,000 people is a lot of people. Like, what have you found difficult with dealing with having that many people maybe comment, give feedback or advice or?
The biggest thing at first, it's changed. Just like anything, it's organic and it changes. You adapt. Something changes. You react to it. You adapt. And then something else happens. You react. You adapt. The biggest thing was, maybe you can already tell, I've been twitching the hell out of this interview, because that is what I do. Whatever it is.
It's like Piers Morgan's
life
stories.
I feel like it is. We've got microphones. We're sat across the desk. I feel like that, yeah. Piers Morgan. I was trying to think of something clever then, but it didn't work. But basically, yeah, I twitch a lot. I've had a nervous twitch since I was like, I think my mum said it was like 4 years old, and it's changed throughout the years, like in the weirdest possible way. It's like a compulsion. I've been to doctors with it and everything. It's like, it's never like properly diagnosed. It was just some kind of nervous tic disorder that I basically tell everyone when they ask me about it that it's like a non-verbal form of Tourette's. It's like you feel this feeling building up in your twitch. So quite early on, when I used to post videos, obviously you can see my natural excitement and happiness and enthusiasm. And the faces that I pull when I play are genuinely they're just my expressions. It's just what happens. I don't think about it. I just play the drums and this is just what happens. But I used to get, and still do sometimes, a lot of stick about that. People telling me that I'm acting and stuff, and it was basically like that was the first biggest hurdle. That was one of the biggest challenges, was like not letting myself get bothered by all that kind of stuff.
Not negativity.
Yeah, negativity, because all I want to do is be happy.
Yeah.
And hopefully I don't want to use that word inspire, because it's a great word and it means so much, but I think it sounds a little bit pretentious when I use it. So I don't want to use that word inspire, but when I do the things that I do and people like the things that I do, hopefully it'll help them to feel a little less like I felt when I was that.
You're giving people a platform, like to learn, because that's the fundamental of what you're doing. You help people learn, but you're 100%, you've like I said before, that's something you may have overcome, but you've taken that maybe what you might have seen originally as a disadvantage or something that people were picking up on, but you've lent into that so much, and you've accepted it that it's become like people just accepted like you're showing who you are. Do you know what I mean?
I've made a thing.
And and if people didn't like that you were just being yourself, you wouldn't be where you are now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, 75,000 people is a lot of people.
It's crazy. You know what?
You're always going to have that minority though of people that are just going to be negative.
100%, 100%.
Just a fact of.
I think
facts of life, isn't it, really?
It is. Yeah. You're so right. It's just the odds, isn't it? It's just the numbers. It's the odds. But I think that was like the biggest hurdle. The biggest hurdle that I had to overcome. The biggest challenge was like kind of getting used to that. But really, I don't know. It's been quite plain sailing. I can't remember, mate. I can't remember what you asked me.
I was just gonna say, have you had any like proper highlights of that 4 years? Like one or two moments that's made you think, right, there's a reason why I want to do this. I want to reach another 25,000 people to get 100,000 people, so I can maybe have one more of them moments, or
actually.
Or you want another one of them moments out the people you've already connected with, like imagine you made a massive network of people, like so is there any moments that you're striving for to have again?
Yeah. So at first it was just like I'd get bad feedback, I'd feel bad. When I get bad feedback now, I use it as an opportunity to debunk the suggestion of whatever negativity has been thrown my way, which then I know gets well received by other people and hopefully makes them feel better. That was like the main, when it started gaining traction, that was like the thing that I was always going for. But then after a while, I started to get nice comments as well and nice messages. And when people make the effort to send me a message outside of the public eye, not on a comment, sending me a direct message, a DM for all the cool cats and the cool kids, because I'm 35, remember, and I'm actually going grey, so I don't know if I can use that term and be taken seriously. But basically, I suppose I'm part of that world, so I should be able to. But anyway, like, people would take the time out of their day to send me a message and to say, like, what you have done has helped me, and they've actually outlined how it's helped them. And that's made me realise that what I'm doing has been valuable to just one person. And if it's valuable to one person, then great. Great. That's not the only reason that I do these things. You weren't wrong when you said the longer that you do things and the bigger your network, the more connections that you have. And so throughout this journey so far, I've been fortunate and lucky enough to establish connections with other companies that have then helped me to direct my attention and my growth more towards like the result that I'm hoping for, which is to be able to reach more people and I don't want to use that word inspire again, but it seems like quite an appropriate word to use under the context. And also, just like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I run this music school, and I have costs. So if I can make a relationship with a company where we're working together,
Yeah.
and that reduces the costs of my business, but helps that company to grow as well, then in my eyes, that's a win-win situation. And this was something that I never planned to do.
Yeah.
But since it has happened, it's made me realize that I can help people in more ways than just teaching them. So I suppose that having relationships and contacts with companies that are kind of mutually exclusive has allowed me to realize that I'm actually being taken seriously.
Yeah.
And this is something that I don't I don't even take myself seriously.
It's dangerous territory.
Yeah. So to be seen by a company who put their trust in me to help to represent them is quite humbling to me, actually, because it makes me think that I'm obviously doing something that's being well received enough for them to invest in me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I know you've mentioned a couple of times so far a number, and that it's a high number.
Yeah.
But to me, it is just a number.
Yeah, you're not looking too deep into like the actual specifics of that number itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to grow my number. I want 1 million followers. Of course I do.
Yeah.
Anyone who has an Instagram page who says they don't want to grow their followers is lying to you.
Right, so we've had a bit of a cut off, but we're back now, aren't we?
Yeah.
So basically, your sentence that got cut off was basically just saying that, you know, if you start on a social media, the goal is to gain that following. Like everyone starts one.
You want a following, yeah. You want a following,
and then basically we're just summarising, weren't we, that what's your next steps for Beyond the Beat now? Where do you want to go now? What happens to Beyond the Beat next?
Well, I don't like to plan too far ahead because I find that if you do, you end up overthinking things and procrastinating. But seeing as it has developed like it has, now that I can see that it's getting some traction, I'm starting to realise I suppose I'm kind of starting to realise my worth, in the sense that I know that what I'm doing is being well received by people. So if what I'm doing is being well received by people, it gives me the motivation to continue doing it.
Yeah.
But naturally, ask a seed what its goal is.
To grow.
To grow.
Fair enough.
Why would you plant an apple seed? Not because you want to see a tree. You want to eat the apples. That's the end of the process.
Not a perfect analogy.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know what fruit I am yet. I'm a tree, but I've not been growing for long enough to see what
the end result is. Yeah. Right. So you're just going with the flow.
I'm just trying to nurture myself as much as I can to hopefully yield the tastiest fruit that anyone has ever tasted. Or it could be a weed. It might not be a fruit. It might be a weed. Who knows?
What a fantastic philosophy.
You never know. Whatever I am, I am. And I will be whatever I will be.
Good.
When I am what I am. When I am. When I have become what I am going to be.
When you've grown. Spot on. Well,
thanks, Brewdog. No, genuinely though. I honestly, I know I was kind of taking the mickey a little bit then, but genuinely, I want to reach more people. I'm a teacher, so I want to teach more people. And if I have an Instagram page that has 1 million followers as opposed to 75,000, then I can teach 1 million people as opposed to 75,000. But the thing is, my job is to teach.
Yeah.
But hopefully I can do a little bit more than just that. Because anyone can say, play a drum beat, play this, do that. But I don't want people to just think that. I actually think of myself less as a drum instructor as much as almost like a life coach. Like, just be happy. So we put so much pressure on ourselves right from the word go.
Yeah.
You're born and then you've got people trying to teach you things. You go to school, you've got exams, you're under pressure your entire life.
Yeah, so Beyond
It's
the Beat
not good for
Beyond
people.
the Beat is like an escape, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that.
Yeah.
Life is not for, I don't know, you know what I mean? There has to be a balance of work and play, and I like to think that I provide the balance of both of those things at the same time.
Spot on. Well, we'll probably wrap up. But thank you for coming in.
Thank you for
For
having
being
me.
the first in the studio.
I feel very, very privileged.
I'm glad you like it. And,
I love it.
We've got some projects on the way, haven't we, as well?
We've got
a bit of hush right now.
We've got more than enough, but they will be revealed soon enough.
But yeah, thank you again for coming in. Cheers.
Thank you, Ollie. Cheers.
Cheers.
And thank you, Joe. There he is. Cheers, bud.
So we hope you enjoyed our first ever podcast in the new studio. Just want to say a massive thank you to Stu. He's doing some really exciting things over on his Instagram, so make sure you head over there and have a look. We're going to be having a few more of these podcasts coming your way over the next few months, so make sure to keep an eye out for them. But for this one, we'll leave it there. So make sure you subscribe and like this video, and we'll see you in the next one.